Okay, welcome back to another video on the Maths channel. It's your teacher Mr. Lim here, and in this video we're going to be looking at similar figures. So by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to explain the difference between congruent and similar figures, and know how to find and use the scale factor. So let's have a look at the first part of this lesson. The difference between congruent and similar figures. Now, if two shapes are congruent, we know that they are the same shape and the same size. However, if two shapes are similar, they're the same shape, they're just different in size. So here's an example of two similar figures. We've got ABCD and QRSP. What do you notice about the corresponding angles? Corresponding meaning matching. For example, angle A corresponds with angle Q. So here's angle A, which is 80 degrees, and angle Q is also 80 degrees. So what do you notice about each of the corresponding angles? Well, I hope you notice that all of the corresponding angles are actually equal. D corresponds with P, they're both 100. C corresponds with S, they're both 140 degrees. And B corresponds with R, they're both 40 degrees. So corresponding angles in similar figures are equal. But what about corresponding sides? What do you notice about the corresponding sides? We know that they are different in size, both shapes, even though they are similar, they are the same shape, they're just different in size. So what do you notice about the corresponding sides? For example, let me just get rid of these angles. We know that AB corresponds with QR because AB is from 80 to 40, QR is from 80 to 40. So what do we notice about these sides? Well, if we were to take QR, the longer one, and divide it by its corresponding shorter side, we get 10 over 5, which is 2. If we were to take this one here, SR, the longer one, and put it over the shorter corresponding side, SR over CB, that's 8 over 4, and 8 divided by 4 is also 2. What do we take this one, the longer one, and divide it by its shorter corresponding side? PS over DC, that's 6 over 3, and 6 divided by 3 is also 2. What about this last one? If we were to take PQ divided by DA, that's 7 over 3.5. 7 divided by 3.5 is also 2. So what do we notice about the corresponding sides? Well, corresponding sides in similar figures will have the same ratio. Now, you might call it a ratio, I might call it a scale factor. Okay, ratio or scale factor, I'll use those terms interchangeably, but the scale factor is pretty much the longer corresponding side over the shorter corresponding side. Okay. Now, another way of describing two similar figures is that one is just a larger version of the other, or is an enlargement of the other. If the symbol for is congruent to is 3 horizontal lines, what do you think the symbol for is similar to is? Might give you some time to guess. Well, the symbol for is similar to is also 3 lines, but instead of it being horizontal, they are 3 vertical lines. Okay, so similar to congruent is just the other way around, just rotated 90 degrees. So in the example above, we can see that the quadrilateral ABCD is similar to what? Remember, order is important. Just like in congruence, order is important. But whenever we have equals, like a side is equal to a side or an angle is equal to an angle, the order of the letters don't matter. It's only when we say it's congruent or similar, then the order of the letters matter. So ABCD. ABCD goes from 80 to 40 to 140 to 100. So we're going to follow that same route. Q, R, S, P. Okay, do not just simply write them in alphabetical order just because this one is. We have to follow it according to what these vertices represent. Alright, can you draw 2 pairs of shapes that are similar? I'll get you to pause the video, have a go with this on yourselves, so you can create 2 pairs of shapes that are similar. Okay, well, if you are like me, someone who's pretty lazy, you will know that all squares are similar. So let's say that's a square. If I were to just draw a bigger square, then they are similar. And you'll also know that all circles are similar. So if I were to just draw a circle like that, and another one, just a bigger version. That's it. If you were to draw a triangle or a rectangle or any other shape, please make sure that the angles are equal to each other, the corresponding angles are equal to each other, and the sides are in the same ratio. Alright, let's have a look at the second part of this lesson, which is how to find and use the scale factor. Now, like I said previously, the scale factor is the bigger corresponding side, or the longer one, divided by the smaller or the shorter corresponding side. If the side we are finding is part of the larger shape, we need to take the corresponding side, the smaller one, and multiply it by the scale factor. If the side we are finding is part of the smaller shape, then we take the longest corresponding side and we divide it by the scale factor. Okay, so that makes it nice and simple. Let's have a look at some examples. These figures are similar, so we don't need to prove it. It tells us that they are similar. So that means we know that the corresponding angles are equal, and we know that the corresponding sides will all be in the same ratio. Let's find the scale factor, or let's figure out what this ratio is. So question A, what we need to do is we need to see which 2 sides correspond with each other. I can see that this 4 is opposite this angle here, and this 6 is opposite that angle. So I'm going to take the longer one. The scale factor is a longer one divided by the shorter one, which is 1.5. So now that we've done that, we can actually use the scale factor to work out any unknown sides. So question B, find the value of x. Well, we can see here that x is part of the larger figure. So which side corresponds to that? We can see here on the smaller figure that this 3 corresponds to it. So because x is part of the larger one, we're going to take the smaller corresponding side, 3, and we're going to multiply it by the scale factor. That's going to give me 4.5. So x is equal to 4.5. And for question C, y is here. Which side corresponds to that on the other figure? It's this one here, the 7.5. Because y is part of the smaller figure, I'm going to take the larger corresponding side, the 7.5, and I'm going to divide it by the scale factor. And that's going to equal to 5. So y is equal to 5. Okay? Alright, here's another question. I'll get you to pause the video and have a go with answering this one yourselves. And when you're ready to check your answer, continue playing the video. Okay, so we have EH, which is over here, that x, over which one does it correspond with? It corresponds with this. So I'm going to just write over AD is equal to FG. FG is this one here. That corresponds with this, which is BC. Alright, let's find the scale factor. Oh, I didn't do question A. Write a similarity statement for the two shapes. So the similarity statement will be ABCD is similar to, now we started at A, so let's have a look here. Maybe it's best if, I personally find it easiest if I were to actually draw symbols. Maybe like an X, an O, a line, and a dot. So which one looks like it's the same? Looks like that one's the X, this one's the circle, this is the line, this is the dot. So now I've done that. I know A is the cross. So E is my cross here. Then I go to B, which is the circle. F is my circle. Then the line G, and then the dot H. Okay, so it just so happens that it is in alphabetical order. Okay, but don't just assume it. Always double check. Alright, I've done question B. Let's have a look at question C. Find the scale factor. So I'm going to find two sides that I do know that are corresponding. I know that that corresponds with this, and I do know what both of them are. So the scale factor is the longer one over the shorter one, which is 2.5. And now I can use this to work out any missing sides. So question D says find the value of x. X is over here. It's part of the bigger figure, the larger figure, so I need to multiply. So E over H corresponds with AD, which is the 3. So I know x is going to equal to the shorter one times by the scale factor of 2.5. That's going to equal to 7.5. For question E, find the value of y. Y is this slant here, and that corresponds with this slant. So I'm going to take the corresponding side, 7, and because y is part of the smaller figure, I need to divide by the scale factor. So what do we get when we do 7 divided by 2.5? We get 2.8. Okay. Pause the video and have a go with these two. Okay, here are my answers for A, B, and C for these two So for the first part, scale factor is 2.5. I picked this and this, because I know that they are both radii, so they correspond with each other. 1.25 over 0.5 is equal to 2.5. I can now use that to work out x and y. X is part of the smaller one, so I need to use division. 1.5, the longer corresponding side, divided by the scale factor of 2.5 is 0.6. And y is equal to, well, y is part of the larger one, so I need to find the corresponding side, which is 0.8, and I need to multiply that with the scale factor. So y is equal to 2. For the second example, the scale factor is 1.75. This one corresponds to this, 704. 7 over 4 is 1.75. So x is equal to 2 times 1.75, which is 3.5. And y is equal to 5.25 over 1.75, which is equal to 3. Okay. Find the value of the pronumeral if the pairs of triangles are similar. Round your answer to one decimal place in part D. So I'm going to have a go with question A with you, and then I want you to pause the video and have a go with B, C, and D. Okay, question A. So these two triangles are similar, so we need to find x. Well, there are two triangles here. We've got this small one, and we've got this larger one. So because we know that they are similar, the sides have to be in the same ratio. So what is that ratio? What is that scale factor? Well, I know that this side here corresponds to this side, so the scale factor has to be 2 over 1, which is 2. The next thing I need to do is, therefore, this whole side corresponds to this, so it's going to have the same ratio. So if I were to take the longer one, x plus 2, and divide it by the shorter one, it's going to give me an SL of 2, because the ratio is going to be the same. I can now use algebra to solve this. X plus 2 has to equal to 4, so x has to equal to 2 as well. Alright, I might do one more with you. I'll do question B with you, and then you can have a go with C and D. So the two triangles here is this one and this one. Because they are similar, I know that these two correspond, and I am going to use them to work out what my scale, to determine what my scale factor is. So my scale factor will be the bigger one over the smaller one, which is 3. And therefore, I can now use this over this, because they correspond with each other, and that's going to equal to 3 as well. So we've technically got x plus 0.5 over 0.5. It's going to give us a scale factor of 3, or a ratio of 3. X plus 0.5 is therefore equal to 1.5, and x is therefore equal to 1. Okay. Pause the video, have a go with questions C and D. Okay, I can see that this triangle here is similar to this big triangle. So the scale factor has to be the longer corresponding side divided by the shorter one, or in this case, this is the longer one, this is the shorter one, so it's going to be 11 over 8. Which is 1.375. And now I can use that to work out x. So that means that this longer side divided by the shorter corresponding side will also equal to 1.375. So the longer one over the shorter one will also equal to 1.375. We can now use algebra. X plus 5 is equal to that times 5, which is 6.875, and therefore x is equal to 1.875. Okay, last one. This triangle corresponds to this one. Sorry, is similar to that. Therefore, we've got this longer corresponding side divided by the shorter one will give us the scale factor. So the scale factor will therefore be 4.7, because when I add them together I get 4.7, divided by the shorter one, which is 3.6. Okay, it's not the 1.1, it's the shorter corresponding side of the similar figure, which is this. Okay, that's the side that corresponds with the big one. Okay, let's see what that's equal to. Okay, let's just leave it as a fraction, 47 over 36. Now we can do the other one, the longer one over the shorter one. So in this case we have x plus 1.3 over the shorter corresponding side of x is also going to equal to 47 over 36. Alright, I'm going to cross multiply to get rid of the fraction. So we have 36 lots of x plus 1.3 is going to equal to 47x. Okay, cross multiply, that gets rid of the fractions of the denominators. I'm going to expand this out. 36x plus 46.8 is going to equal to 47x. Subtract 36x from both sides and I'll get 11x is equal to 46.8. Divide both sides by 11. I'll get 4.25. Now what did the question say? It said to leave our answer to one decimal place. So 4.3. Okay. So that's it. I hope you know now how to find the scale factor and actually use that to solve problems involving similar figures. Have a great day. Thanks.